Okay, now we have the two halves of our crown sewn. See our nice little darts here? You're gonna put these together, right sides together. This is our wrong side. These are our right sides. You wanna lay them directly on top of each other, lining up your dart seam and your corners of your cut edges. Start by pinning your dart together, and the way you can make sure that it's really nice and lined up is hold it and peel it back and see if you need to adjust it or move it any. You want that line to line up perfectly. So lay it all back down. That's all really nice. And something else you want to do is make sure your seam allowances are laid nice and flat when you go to sew over this. So one thing I like to do to help that happen, I like to take my pins and pin that seam allowance down. See how I've done that? Now it won't flip up out of my way. And I caught the back too. Do the same thing over here. It's just a nice little trick to make your life easier. Now, one thing to note, if I am sewing this direction, this back half of the seam allowance isn't going to get flipped around. Not necessarily necessary to pin it, but this front one, as the machine takes it, it might just run right over it and fold it all up and make it ugly. So make sure you pin down the leading seam allowance edge, if not both. I've gotten that nice and secured. I'm going to pin the rest of it. Come down here to this edge, pin that together, and then make sure this raw edge is lined up nicely all the way around, and it is. Be careful not to let this top layer slide out and trick you. You can't see what's going on, so make sure you double check every now and then. How am I lining up? And if you need to scoot things around, fingernails are really helpful for that. You can kind of drag it. See, we're getting a little off there. Great. I kind of fixed it. Pinning there. And now I have to do my other side. Again, I like to start with my opposite end. So I've got this pinned here and I got that corner pinned. Now I'm gonna line everything up. Try to hold it in place while I pin. Now, when I pin lengths, I like to start on the edges and then start dividing the middles. So with this, I went here, and I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna split this in half and maybe stick a couple more pins in there. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, but I recommend it. In my mind, it just spreads any inconsistency in length out more evenly. So this is what it should look like when you're done. You should have that all nice and pinned. And don't forget to take care of that seam allowance. And when you put it through the machine, don't let it fold over on itself. All right, we're gonna sew the two pieces of my crown together. What do we do at the beginning and end, everyone? Backstitch, don't forget. Now I'm getting to that seam. It could get bulky right here. Don't forget, you can always walk this through your machine if you want. And now is a good time to kind of lift up and check and make sure that seam allowance is going to be laid perfectly flat. Looks like I'm in good shape. I'm going to sew a few more stitches and check again just to make sure, because this is what pushes it back. So we're in good shape. I'm going to go. Don't forget to not let that get folded over either. If it's kind of bulky and weird, sew until your needle is in, lift up your presser foot a little, and kind of smash it. There, it should be nice and good. Coming to the end, don't forget to backstitch. All right. And then we clip our threads. Voila, a sewn crown.